What up, 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 and what up some more and some more and more what ups on top of that. It's your boy RODDON is in the building. We are here, Brooklyn Bears and Ball. You know how we do. It is the hottest sports shows. We talk about everything, all things regarding sports, NFL, NBA, a little bit of Major League Baseball. We talk about the Niners and Cowboys, of course, and then anything else that's relative to football. But of course, I don't have a lot of relevancy right now, but it's still, something to talk about. So nevertheless, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get all in these platforms. We got X, we got IG, we got Facebook, we got YouTube. All right, we got TikTok. We out there. Y'all look us up. It's Don and Rod, Brooklyn Bears and Ball. Our other resident host, Mr. Scrap, aka the coach. He's not here today right now, but he might jump on a little bit later. He's running behind, taking care of some stuff there. Of course, he has a lot to be excited about with his Eagles right now that are flying high. But we might have seen how that story can turn out, so we'll see. But nevertheless, we here today. So Don, what's good with you, man?
Oh man, what's going on, man? Listen, this is exciting, man. When something, when you have a sense of expectation. I'm looking at tomorrow's game like Christmas Day.
Okay.
You're anticipating something great happening, and you're building up in your mind. And so the day in itself will not be a disappointment. I am actually, we have some disappointments because we have injuries, but I think that there's going to be a happy surprise to the outcome of the game. But everything's on the line. Our season ultimately is on the line with this game. But we'll talk about that further. Without further ado, let's get into it. Week 12 is already here. The season seems to be flying by. Listen, for me, I'll speak for me and, Niner fans. This is not how we anticipated our season going, okay? We obviously lost a very disappointing Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we were anticipating, outside of injury here or there, that our team would be intact and we would be looking to, make a push for the playoffs and try to get back to the Super Bowl and this time get over the hump and win. That is not out of the question. Stranger things have happened. They have been, we still have an opportunity to win the division. We do have an opportunity to at least be a wild card. So I think we have an opportunity. Of course, winning our division would be the better choice. If given a choice between trying to get a wild card because of the NFC North and how competitive it is, it would be better for us to just win our division. So that's the goal in mind. That's the focus. But before we get to that, let's talk about, and I see that your hat is barely hanging on as to, it speaks to the season that the Cowboys are having. It is teetering on just falling off completely. For those that don't know, Dak Prescott is done for the season. He had surgery, season-ending surgery. And listen, the team is in flux as a whole, right? The owner is not only talking and having press conferences and on radio stations every day, but he's crying every other day. You have a lame duck coach. You have your star defensive player, Micah Parsons, that is talking constantly, contradicting himself. He has a lot to say. And it's just one of those things where there is dysfunction. Now, Dalton Schultz, he warned us about this last year, about the zoo that was the Dallas Cowboys. And that didn't come without opposition and pushback from Rod, who is a lifelong Cowboys fan, that there is no, was it a zoo when you were getting paid? Was it a zoo when this was happening? Was it? And it was. Clearly, we know it was a zoo all those times and more. But I think it's a situation where, Cooper Rush, who Rod said was a great backup, has not looked so good over the last two starts. You said he was one of the better backups. Did you not say that?
I did say. I didn't say
so far.
great,
so far,
I mean,
he hasn't showed that.
He's very, very, very serviceable. No, he has not. He has not.
Okay,
no,
so
he has not.
you know, so with that being said, I think the Cowboys have an opportunity, and I'll say this: CeeDee Lamb, of course, you don't have a weapon. CeeDee Lamb is basically the offense from the offensive standpoint. He is all of the offense. You don't have a run game. You don't have another receiver that can kind of take kind of the attention away from CeeDee. And we have gone back and forth about, is CeeDee truly a number one receiver based on, you know, what he's been able to do in adverse situations. We have seen other receivers in tough situations, sketchy quarterback play, you know, Justin Jefferson, for example, or, Chase, Jamar Chase. We've seen other, wide receivers be able to still perform even though they don't have, great quarterback play or them being the focal point of the offense. And yet so far this year, we haven't seen that so much. There's been glimpses here and there, but we haven't been able to see that true, as Rod says, true, undeniable number one receiver type of play. Because if he is, offense would regardless. Everyone knows that Justin Jefferson, and I'll just use this as an example. Everyone knows that Justin Jefferson is the number one receiver. Yes, they do have balance and they have that. But we know that Justin Jefferson, back in the day, DeAndre Hopkins, there are receivers, number one receivers on their team that are pretty much quarterback proof. It doesn't matter who you put back there. As you like to say, me or you could be throwing them the ball and they'll still get, 8 receptions, plus yards. And so CeeDee hasn't done that so far this year. He is a number one, according to Rod. I do think he's a number one, but not as high as Rod would like to place him. Bottom line, you play Washington. Now, Washington has been on somewhat of a decline the last couple of games. And so this is an opportunity. Number one, this is a revenge game, right? Listen, the coach of Washington used to be the defensive coordinator. He's very familiar with what Dallas would be looking to do, right? He knows what they would be looking to do. Now, Micah Parsons, in one of his latest interviews, he talks about every 15 minutes he'll have his podcast going. He says that they're a really good team. We're still a really good team. And of course, you have to believe that, right? You can't allow circumstances, situations to force you or cause you to quit. You have to persevere. And I totally agree with that. But as a lifelong Cowboys fan, I want to get your opinion on, number one, what is, is CeeDee truly a number one? Has he played like a number one? That's first off. Number two, what do you think about Micah Parsons' comments? Do you think that he is helping or hurting the team? And what is the future? We're going to get into the whole possible Deion Sanders coming there. It'll be a problem. I don't think it'll be a package deal where you'll be able to bring Shador over. You won't be able to get Shador and Deion. I don't think your record will be bad enough. Number two, what are you going to do with that albatross of $60 million per year to the highest paid quarterback? There's nothing you can really do with that, especially coming off of another season-ending injury, right? Because this will be his second, right? He had the ankle and the screw in the ankle and all of that, and now he has the hamstring that's off the bone just in time for Thanksgiving. So what do you have to say?
Oh, let's give it up for Mr. Don and his open soliloquy there. Very nice, Don. Very nice. But now I'm getting ready to poke some holes in some of your theoretical ideas here. Number one, CeeDee Lamb, ladies and gentlemen, is a top 5 receiver. In fact, this year he's number 4. Okay, the 4th best receiver in the league right now, behind Chase, Jefferson, and Pickens, mind you. Okay, there aren't many receivers that are quarterback proof, as you like to say. Do I think CeeDee Lamb is better than Chase and Jefferson? No, I don't. But is CeeDee Lamb a top echelon, top tier, number one receiver Is he way better than Brandon Ayuk?
We're not talking about Brandon Ayuk. I didn't bring him up.
Wait, who's
is he better? I can name some other people. Is he? It is your turn, but I didn't bring up Brandon Ayuk. Just talk about the people. Well, is he better than AJ Brown? Is he better than Amon-Ra St. Brown? No, he's not.
I believe he is better than St. Brown. I do believe that and I'm gonna tell you why. Because St. Brown has other weapons. You got to remember, D. Even last year and the year before that, even CeeDee Lamb has always been the #1 target for the Cowboys as it relates to being schemed against and for the Cowboys to depend on offensively. And yet he still puts up big numbers. You know he's getting the ball and he still prevails. So St. Brown benefits from a much better, highly sophisticated offensive scheme, 2 premier elite running backs, mind you, a great offensive line, and there's other outside weapons that he has. Not to mention he does play on overall a better team. And so when you talk about quarterback proof, you got to look at everything and take it all into totality. CeeDee Lamb is the only threat the Cowboys had. Even last year, he was the only threat and still put up ridiculous otherworld numbers. So when you look at even now, he's only and Jamar Chase only has 5 more receptions than what he has this year. Okay, 5 more receptions. He just has a lot of yards because Jamar Chase makes big plays. He again routes that run down the field, posts, goes, and he has time, which being a Burrow who can make those throws because his offensive line can protect him long enough. Dallas don't have a line.
They don't have a great offensive line. They don't have.
That line is much better than what it was when Burrow first came into the league. They've improved their line a little bit more than that. But again, they still have a way of getting the ball to Chase more than 20 yards. Cowboys don't even throw the ball more than 4 yards. The routes are trash. So I'm saying, like, when you put it all into context, CeeDee Lamb is still a much better player and weapon than most other, I believe, than some of the other guys, because again, he does not have help. He doesn't have help. Okay. Jamar Chase had a good back last year. He's got a better quarterback. He's got Higgins and other guys that take the heat off of him a little bit there. Okay. Justin Jefferson also he's got other weapons on his team that plays alongside of him. Darnold out of nowhere had a resurgence, if you will. And so I'm saying, when you look at everything in context between the teams itself, CeeDee Lamb is doing more than these guys when you consider what he does not have. And so that's what I'm trying to say. CD is a legit #1. He's been a legit #1, and he got paid like a #1. That's why he got the money. Now, can his career go into purgatory, if you will? And I don't really believe in purgatory, but I'm just saying, like, do you believe that he can get into some place that can be really dismal for his career if the quarterback play is the way it is? It very well could be. You're right. We're stuck with Dak. Can't move off him. And, the thing is with Dak, and what I'm concerned with, and I'm going to get to the other question about Micah, is the thing is with Dak is the problem is whoever your new coach is going to be, can that new coach take Dak to another level and put him in a system that complements his style of play? Dak, again, I think I said this in the last show, Dak is very stiff. He's too boxy. He can't sell a fake. He can't run a lot of the different type motion offenses that we see Shanahan and Sons run. So the truth of the matter is, you're going to have to get Dak into a whole new system. And can he play in that system? Can he prevail in that system? And he's going to need a running back to help sell anything that's going to be worth enough to be able to make that offensive scheme a lot better than what we have right now. We're running a very anemic, boring, uninventive scheme that Mike McCarthy ran back. And, he's still in West Coast Bill Walsh type offense. Like, them days are gone, bro. We're not there anymore. And so the thing is that with Dak, do I still think Dak is a good quarterback? Yeah, I do. But that's all we got. And that's all we're going to have to end up being with. But we do get money next year that we do have against the cap. That's why we had to sign him, and him and CD. That opens up the money. That opens up the cap. So we'll have some space there. Will that make room for Micah? I don't know. I think we should pull a Jimmy Johnson and do a Herschel Walker trade. Maybe you can get more for Micah, okay? When you look at what the Eagles did in the draft last year, how they traded up and got guys, and in 1 year, they turned that dismal defensive backfield around completely. and did an amazing job because they drafted really well, right? And this was a team, even though they had a dismal second half of the season, and it did put them in a little bit of better of a draft position, but at the end of the day, you know, Roseman and those guys did something. They took a chance, and they also added guys to their team as well as free agency. Cowboys don't do that. So as long as you got Jerry running the show, it's going to be very difficult to build because their idea is build through the draft and build your guys up. But, you know, you can't say in one breath, we are a win-now team, and then you don't rely on getting some free agent players. You can't build a winning team like that through the draft. It's not going to happen. So my thing is with Dak, you got no choice but to go with Dak. You got to find a way to rehabilitate Dak, find something that works. You're going to have to draft well again or get somebody in free agency that can bolster the team and give them some immediate impact. Outside of that, you're not going to get that done. So you trade Micah. I think you trade Micah. You get some draft picks in there. Micah's a great player. Micah's really, I would hate to see Micah go. But you know what? You got to pull a Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson looked around and said, this team is bad. My best player, let's get him, trade him to the Vikings. Thank God for the Vikings, because they're the real reason why we won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years in the early 90s, is because that whole team that Dallas had would have been the Vikings team. Jimmy Johnson drafted well, and that's another thing you're going to have to get a guy who can come in there and draft. Will McClay is a good guy. He knows how to draft well in the front office. He really does the true GM work, not Jerry. But at the end of the day, Don, we just don't have anything. You know what I mean? And so it was stuck with Dak. You're right. But where were we going to go? I mean, you know, it's the way the landscape of a quarterback situation is right now. You only have but a few guys. So you either say, I'm going to get a franchise quarterback to keep us relative. Dak has kept the Cowboys relative, okay? He's not going to get you over the top, but he'll keep you relative. He'll win you some games. He's going to make a couple Pro Bowls, which he did. You know, had a little MVP-type season last year. That was really good. But that's all you're going to get out of Dak. So if you trade, get some more draft picks, and then maybe you can get something, or trade for some better players as well. And you can get a boatload of picks and maybe some good players for Micah Parsons. There's people salivating to get a Micah Parsons. And I think, honestly, too, I don't know if Jerry and them really want Micah. I'll be honest with you. I think Micah talks too much for them. He steals Jerry's shine. He says what he feels, speaks his heart, even though it sometimes could be misinterpreted or misconstrued. But I don't know if they really want that. Dak totes the company line. That's the kind of players they kind of like. CD's a little more still conform. He'll say a few things, but he's not out of the pocket like Micah. Micah's the kind of dude that will play on Sunday, come out on Monday, and blast the way the team played, and then give credit to the team that beat them. And that, you know, that don't bode well for Micah. The fans love it, but I mean, bode well for Jerry. The fans may not have a problem with it, but Jerry doesn't like that. So to answer your question, Micah gets traded. Dak is what it is. Another year that he's going to be obviously out on IR. He was out. That was in 2020. And we were bad then. We were bad when he broke his ankle against the Giants. That was back in when we had your boy, the defensive coordinator that Mike Nolan brought in from the 49ers, and brought him in. And he gave us historically the worst defense we've ever seen. And this in 2024 gives me some 2020 vibes, because that's we might as well have Mike Nolan up there coaching again with Mike Zimmer. Anybody named Mike, you should never hire as a defensive coordinator. But the truth of the matter is that's right. And that was a bad season there too, D. So, you know, having Dak gone, listen, I don't care. We're going to have 2 replacement offensive linemen this week that's going to play our guard.
Zach Martin's out, right?
Zach Martin is going to be out. Tyler Smith may play, but you got Hoffman and Bass. These guys are young, underdeveloped. They're not real. They can play. They've played, but now they're going to start. Edoga's going to make his first start most likely. So you're going to have 3 underdeveloped linemen out there on Sunday, tomorrow, playing for the Cowboys. So we're going to get murdered. It's the game. It's going to be a massacre again. It's, we don't even have to talk about the game if you don't want to do that. No need.
No, we're going to talk about it.
You want to talk about it? Okay.
People want to know what you think about it. So we're not going to just, gloss over that. And also, so you think, let me get your opinion on this. Deion Sanders to the Cowboys. What's your thoughts?
Deion Sanders to the Cowboys. Not going to happen. That wouldn't happen. It's my understanding, and I mean, you might know a little bit more. You probably, because you follow the story a little bit more. I thought at one point Deion had aspirations of coaching in the NFL, but I don't think he wants to do that. I don't know if he wants to coach the Cowboys. I don't think he wants to coach in the NFL. He said he was on record saying he don't want to coach millionaire athletes, even though that's what he's doing now. But I mean, it's still a lot different on a college level than it is in the NFL. But he doesn't want to deal with that. I think he likes grooming younger kids, getting them developed, inspiring them. You can't do that at the NFL level. Deion's a lot of respect and so forth. I do think he'll be much better of a coach than we've had probably since Bill Parcells, if you ask me. Do I think he can turn the program around? Yeah, because Deion is a culture setter. He's a culture trender. He can set the culture. He can change the whole atmosphere of that locker room and the team. But I don't know if Jerry wants that. Jerry, again, Deion's gonna steal his shine immediately. And if Deion, let's just say Deion wins or gets to an NFC championship, that's taking all the shine away from Jerry. You know what I mean? And I don't think Deion, he loves Jerry. He has a lot of deference for him. But I don't think he's earned the cachet now to be like, and I don't know, I don't want to do it that way. And I can really honestly see them bumping heads. They're both alphas. So, it's a little different when a guy's paying you and cutting your check. But now that Deion is where he is on this side of his playing career, I don't think coaching Cowboys will work for him, honestly. And then Jerry won't have, like James said, anybody you get in there is not going to work. Jerry's going to hire some milquetoast, whack, no spine coach that's going to come in there and yes, sir, him to death. That's all what's going to happen because, as I've been saying religiously, this is a team that's about economy, not football. So that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk score. Clearly, okay. I think you think it's going to be a complete blowout. And Absolutely. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're suggesting, even though this is a bad season, you're talking about further doubling down on that and kind of blowing up the team somewhat.
To a degree, yeah.
So how many, it takes a while for that. I mean, some teams can turn it around right away, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the certain position. If you get the right quarterback, your team can change seemingly overnight.
Right.
Sometimes drafting well, sometimes, adding a key piece in free agency. These are a lot of things that the Cowboys don't necessarily do.
No, they don't.
So blowing up the team, arguably giving away one of your best assets defensively, Micah Parsons, through a complete overhaul and transition of that position, because you wouldn't even have that piece. If you let that piece go, then everyone's going to be new, or you're going to be fighting to. So that could be a couple of years of rebuilds, right?
Yeah.
And you're okay with that? You think that would be the best decision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I really am. Because I think with Nealon, when he comes back next year, who's a really good pass rusher we drafted this year, he got hurt. That was a big loss for us. But you get him, you get back. Who's my other guy? Man, I'm drawing a blank. He got hurt in preseason. He actually had about 8 sacks last year. Really good pass rusher. Now, they're not on the level of Micah, of course, but they'll help. They can still rush your quarterback. You let go of D-Law, they're not going to re-sign him. You'll free up some more cap space there. You get some drafts. You sell Micah off, and you try to rebuild the team as best as you can. Dak and CD are not going anywhere, so you got a little bit of a staple there. It's just, what are you going to do with Dak? How do you make Dak a better quarterback? I don't know how that works, and Jerry has to buy into a system that works. Do you bring in a culture guy? If you bring in Vrabel, who's your OC? Who's your DC? Who are you going to bring in to schematically make this team better, like the way Dan Quinn did? And that's what Dan Quinn is even doing in Washington. And he turned the defense around for what Mike Nolan did and made the Cowboys a top 5 defense the last 3 years that he was there. Even as bad as we were against the run, but again, we were injured, had a small linebacker core because we had no bodies. Overshown didn't, he was out last year. So, you got some good players that you could still build around.
Where Diggs was out also, right?
Diggs was out all last year after week 3, I think. It was after he got hurt before we played the Cardinals. So he was out.
And I think Bland is playing this. He's going to do his first game of the season, I believe.
Is that right? Okay, I think so. I think I did something to that effect.
That's exciting. Yeah. That's exciting for you guys. No, listen. All I'm saying is this. I think to get rid of my thing is this. Do you think that there is a market potentially, if someone was to take it on, or would the Cowboys be willing to eat some of that salary? Do you think there's a market for Dak Prescott? Because in my opinion, I would move Dak. Micah's younger. You got CeeDee Lamb, and you can build. You got a a building block on the defensive side and a building block on the offensive side. You can get a quarterback for cheap. I try to tell you that that's kind of a, kind of a way of building your team.
Yeah.
Certain parts, since the quarterback more often than not is such a huge part of the cap.
Right.
If you can get a quarterback that plays well, you draft for cheap, then the other pieces you can kind of, build around. You could be more active in free agency so that you can get those pieces to assist. And then your quarterback has, you have a runway of, 3 or 4 years to build the team around them. They're able to, kind of develop and so on and so forth. But it doesn't seem like you see that vision.
No, I don't see that. And I'll tell you why. Number one, Dak's contract won't allow. No one is $260 million away from taking the next step. You know what I mean? That would handicap a team instantly as far as their cap. And not only that, but Dak is 31 years old, man. You know what I mean? Now you're north of 30. You got coming off a major injury now. You're not going to get anything for Dak unless the Cowboys decide to eat some of his salary for a team they trade him to. That's the only way. I mean, is it possible? Would a team be that thirsty if the Cowboys want to pay some of his salary? But then
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, what I'm saying. But Dak probably ain't going. You probably may not get more than you might. Could you get a number one for Dak and a couple of threes, maybe a fourth, couple of twos, and a four or something? But,
because there's going to be teams that are in the market for a quarterback. I mean,
not at 2. It just depends on what Dallas is willing to eat. And I don't know if the Cowboys would. It would just, I don't know, D. It would feel like another dumb move. We just don't do well. Like, look what we did. We got a number 4 for Trey Lance. And
talk about Mingo. Forget Trey Lance. So let's talk about Mingo.
You gave a 4th round for a Mingo, a guy named Mingo, and gave away a 4th round for a seed. You might as well just have kept Cooper if that's the case. I mean, it didn't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they just signed him to an extension. I was just trying to. He was saying, James was saying, didn't they just re-sign him? And Dak they gave the extension to. Yeah. But I was saying, as opposed to moving a 20-something-year-old, in his prime, in Micah Parsons, you would move the older veteran quarterback. There's always a need for a veteran quarterback. Now, what hurts is that he's coming off of an injury. So people, are going to be the attention or the possibility. Maybe he has a no trade clause. I think if Dallas would have to eat salary and be, willing to part ways, he would have to relinquish that no trade, which he says.
Yeah, and he would only relinquish that if it's to a team he desires to go to. He's going to
correct. It's going to have to be. There's going to have to be buy-in. So it's a bad contract all the way around. But let's get a score for this game between Cowboys and Washington Commanders. What do you say?
Yeah, 41-9.
Okay.
Yeah, about 41-9. Yeah.
So just 3 field goals.
3 field goals. My boy Brandon's going to come in. Now, what we should be, and when you do Cowboy scores, we should probably go how many field goals and how long will Brandon Aubrey kick his field goals. So I say he's going to definitely get I would say a 60-yarder, because all Cowboys got to do is get the midfield. So you figure at least a 60-yarder. He'll get a 60-yarder, and he'll get two about 2 50-yarders. He'll get in there. 24-13. Wow, James, you think?
Yeah, Washington. He thinks Washington.
Yeah, Washington. But I'm saying you think, man, that's a close game. That's only a 2-score game. That's wow. That's a lot. You've been watching these Cowboy games, James? I don't know.
I'm confused by this.
By what?
Earlier said
have you not seen the
you
game?
Had a number you said earlier. Now everyone knows you can throw on Washington. You said that you had
what can we throw? Donald, did you
said a top 4 receiver. Did you not say that earlier? Yeah, only behind Chase, Jefferson, and
that's what the stats say.
That's what the stats say. What does the eye tell you though? What does your eyes tell you?
41-9, because that's what my eyes have been seeing. Okay. Now, unless eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. Okay. What what is
neither
innocent
has
or
it
Hartford
entered.
Cowboys fans.
Neither has it entered.
Listen, okay, it's a done deal, guys. Do you see the routes we run? Do you think Cooper Rush can throw the ball? Say more than 20 yards? It's not happening. We don't have no routes. We run comebacks, man.
But the routes is that solely. We talked about this, and I'll give my score and we'll move on. Okay. The routes aren't solely. I get the offensive coordinator has to come up with a game plan and a scheme, right, to get them open. Yeah. But a lot of those plays, great receivers, number one receivers know how to. They're paying attention to what's going on with the quarterback, and they know when a play breaks up how to get open in pockets where the quarterback can hit them. And when a play just kind of they're trying, everyone's covered. Those true number one receivers know how to come back, to assist, to get open, to keep the drive going.
Well, and that's not happening on every play. And
no, it's not.
You don't have a quarterback. First of all, you got to have a quarterback that know how to handle a broken play, right? So you see Purdy knows how to, if a play breaks down, Purdy can scramble. He understands when to run. He's got good chemistry with his receivers, Jennings and these guys, or Kittles. So he knows there's a chemistry there, and he knows how to pivot and ad-lib, if you will, in a broken down situation. A lot of good quarterbacks can do that. Your Russell Wilsons, obviously your Lamar Jacksons, your Mahomes, your Josh Allen. These guys, when a play breaks down, they know how to get out. And their receivers, because they know that their quarterback knows how to buy time, they know how to get into position to help their quarterback make a play. That's not happening with Cooper Rush. Not happening. Now, maybe with Trey Lance, you might have a little bit of an opportunity for that because he's way better with his legs, but he has maybe the propensity to just start running than he would throwing. But I see your point, but that's not every play. Not every good receiver is going to, what's the heck of versus the use of running routes then? You know what I'm saying? Because every play is pretty much going to break down and they don't have the ability to do that because you don't have a quarterback to do that. We just don't.
He actually did say Purdy. He started with Purdy. He said Purdy. Yeah. He put Purdy in there. He mumbled it, but he said Purdy.
I said Purdy. Yeah, I did. That's the first one. He said Purdy, and I said Jennings and Kittles, and how he utilizes those guys. I think Purdy is just $6 million quarterback. You're going to lose tomorrow because he's not playing.
He is. So we're going to get to that in a second. Okay. He's not going to get $60 million. Okay. He's not going to get anything close to $60 million. Okay, so I think it's going to be a closer score than what you're saying. And I'm taking into
score in Detroit. You said it'd be a close score against Baltimore. You said it was going to be a close score against New Orleans. You said
You know why? Because I am taking your word that you have a number one receiver.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm basing it off of.
Number one receiver. I'm basing it off out too now.
I'm basing it off of the fact that you say you have a number one receiver. So I'm basing it that, okay,
what does that mean?
A number one receiver is good for
it. What you thought they make up the difference in everything?
No,
your team is bad.
Listen, when a star receiver or a star player on a offense, and let you tell it he is the offense, right? Certainly he should be able to get schemed or open or make enough plays to score a touchdown. You don't have a top four receiver being able to get into the end zone. You should be ashamed.
The Steelers don't have a great offense. They can't score points either, really a lot. And
are you considering that snowball game? Like that game was
even all year long, they struggled to score points. Granted, Fields is not a quarterback that can get them in the end zone. Obviously, they've done a lot better with Wilson, but they still struggle to score points. And Pickens is still, considered a top receiver. And you got a lot of guys that just can't score.
Pickens better not be ahead of CeeDee Lamb. Pickens is not ahead of CeeDee Lamb, is he?
No, he's not. But what I'm saying is he's still a number one receiver on that team. And when you look
in the stats, he's not number one. He wasn't the third person you said, right?
No, actually, where he's actually number 3. Yeah, he's right before.
This is ridiculous. What? This is that works against your case.
But what I'm saying is he's a number 3, right? Statistic wise, and his offense doesn't score a lot of points. And so what I'm saying is that having a number 1 doesn't equate to you scoring points. CDs again still has no help. So even if CD scores 1 touchdown tomorrow, what good is that if you're still giving up 40 points on the other side? It doesn't matter. Like the CD, one guy can't make it.
Just
now, you got a quarterback that's different.
In the words of Bill Belichick, do your job. Do your job. And his job is to get open. His job is to score touchdowns, right?
But if he gets open, D, he still got to get the ball to him. And what if he gets open and he's running it's 3rd and 8 and you're running him on a 3-yard slant or a 3-yard hitch where he comes back to the ball when as soon as he catches it, he's going to get tackled. Like, that don't even make no sense. You don't even get him in stride. Do a slant but gets him in stride, or run a pick play, or something that can get a guy open, or draw the safety somewhere else, which you can't because they all gonna follow CD anyway. So I'm saying the Cowboys just are unimaginative. You would think Mike McCarthy and Schottenheimer Jr. You would think they've coached football before, seen football. These guys have no idea how to get anybody open. And they don't play matchups well. So you say you can go against the Redskins? That don't mean nothing. Dallas don't take advantage of matchups.
I think Brandon Cooks is coming back. I think that should help. That should help, right? Huh? That should help. That should maybe prevent some of the bracketing of CeeDee Lamb, right? A little bit, right? Because Brandon,
a little bit, yeah.
He has enough
speed.
But
they don't run goals for Brandon. Brandon Cook didn't even get in the offense until week 10 last year. They don't even know how to use him. They don't know how to use him, D. Look, I tell you what, what would you think you would do if you had Turpin on your team? Shanahan, that's like a nice, shiny toy to Shanahan. Shanahan would have.
Turpin scored a touchdown last week, did he not?
He did score a touchdown.
Okay.
But Dallas still don't know how to use him effectively. You don't know how to get him in space.
Oh, he's 4'1".
And that was a good play that they ran because that's better than using him on a go route.
He's 4'1", Rod. Huh? God, he's 4'1". How many routes do you think he's going to get at 4'1"?
But that's my point. Dallas had him doing go routes and running down sidelines at 4'1". They got him trying to do a 50-50 ball in the corner of the end zone at 4'1". So I'm saying this is the stupidity I'm trying to tell you. Right, that's what we do. So and then finally they said, oh, well, we'll get him in a little slant play where he can at least get on the run. That was a well-designed play. Congratulations to McCarthy. We didn't see it again. You would think he would get the ball again. Now, either they took him away from they took him out the game after that play, or we just didn't find a way to get him the ball again. But we don't know how to do that. We don't have that. I bet you if that was Shanahan, trust me, okay? It's a shame, man. You know, it's a shame. These guys are wasting their careers, man. I'm not saying the worst, but you know what? Your laughter tells me you understand what I'm going through. I won't even say it. I'm not even going to say it.
But until you do right by me, right?
Until you right.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. So
okay, let me give my score. I think it's going to be a closer game than any 40. You said 41-9?
41-9.
Okay. I think it's going to be 31-24 Washington.
31-24?
Yeah. I think because you can score on them, right? Defenses, you should be able to score on them.
We can't even run the ball.
Well, listen, let me say this. You ran enough last week. You kept a balance somewhat, right? Rico didn't look terrible last week. And with Washington, I don't think that you don't need to have a, Detroit or Niners run game in order to just have enough to keep them honest. Brandon Cooks coming back, CeeDee Lamb, air quotes, #1 receiver, and a halfway decent run game. Pretty much Rush is going to have to get that ball out of his hand a lot faster. Maybe plays will have to develop a little quicker if they can.
Don't get separation either. You just don't have that. Rico Dow, you know how many yards he rushed for average-wise last week?
3.2.
3.2. Man, D, you're so generous. You are really generous when it comes to the Cowboys. I really believe that when you will rag on Dallas. You will definitely exploit all of what's wrong with the Cowboys, but you do have a little bit of heart for us. I do believe. I think there's some empathy that you have for us. You hate
for you.
For me. It's just for me, right? Being my boy and everything, you feel bad for me, and so you know what? 3.2. I only wish he rushed for 3.2. Okay, he rushed for 2.8 yards per carry. D 10 carries for 28 yards. Okay, and one of those was a 9-yard run. So in essence, it's a little bit lower than that. Okay, D.
Wow.
So yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you, D. So we can't. We look, D. It's okay, man. All right, I'm okay. I'm fine. I got my what ups. I got my boys. You know what I'm saying? I get to look at your team. You know, we get to analyze and break down what's up with the Niners. You know, it's a little hard year, although I will say it's only hard because of the injuries. I think has really, set you guys back. So there's a very small margin for error right now for the Niners. But I like talking about that. And scrap. I want to see scrap fall. I want to see the Eagles just take a dive.
Yeah,
that's all. Right,
that's coming. We're going. Hopefully, he comes in time to talk about his Eagles.
Yeah, we talk about his Eagles.
All right, so let's transition. We talked about, my score is 31-24. Okay, let's talk about the 49ers.
Let's talk about the Niners.
It's been some bad injuries, as you said, and it just gets worse. Brock Purdy has been ruled out for this game, along with Bosa. So we have Brandon Allen, and everyone's asking why not Josh Dobbs, right? Because Josh Dobbs, we've seen he has mobility, he has arm strength. You would think he is familiar. He gives us in that type of scheme, he would give us with the mobility part added, boost that he could extend plays, and if a broken play, he would be keep his legs moving enough to find the open person. Kittle is going to play, of course, CMC, Jennings, and this is what I'll say. Brandon Allen, I had to do a little research on him. He played for Arkansas, and I think he was pretty decent. I think he played 4 years in Arkansas. Now, this is the only thing that I think the reason why they gave him the nod over Dobbs. Number one, he is more familiar in different parts of his career. He has played in a Shanahan type offense, right? So he's played with McVay for a year. He played under Zach, what's his name? I don't know. I'm thinking Zach Efron. Zach, what's the dude in Cincinnati, the coach?
Zach Ertz. Zach, oh man, I can see the.
Any case, he played in Cincinnati for 2 years, and then he's played with the Niners. He signed with the Niners in 2023. So that's about 4 years of being familiar. Zach Taylor, familiar with that type of Shanahan offense.
Right.
He is not mobile, but I think what Kyle Shanahan is depending on him to do is get the ball out, be accurate. If his accuracy works, I think we have an opportunity. Now, I think what is going to give us the opportunity to win this game, number one, we're the more desperate team. This game is pretty much our percentages and our chances to make the postseason go from like, if we win 57%, and I think if we lose, it drops to like 14. So this is a make it or break it. Now, we know that this is a tough game, right? Green Bay. But I do think that we'll have some opportunities. I do think that the defense, although we won't have Bosa for the pass rush, I do think that we will be, and also Ward is not playing because he's still, dealing with the death of his young daughter. And we send our condolences. I do think that we're going to still be able to put enough pressure on Love that he will be, gratuitous to us to give us a few turnovers to keep us in the game. I think we have an opportunity to win this, and I do think we're going to win. I think with Brock Purdy and Bosa being ruled out, the spread had jumped to like 5.5. So almost a touchdown. They think better than us. I do think because we're a desperate team, we'll have to lean on the run. Now, Kyle, if you're watching, you have Mason. What we have seen Jordan Mason all this time while CMC was injured.
Right.
Why are we not playing him to preserve CMC? Have them both in at the same time. Use CMC as a receiver. Use Mason as the back. I would suggest to keep CMC fresh, use Mason more between the 20s, right? And then when you get into the red zone, that's where CMC does his best work, right? He has the route running, he can catch, he's fast. If you line up a linebacker on him, he's going to burn them. That's where I think you need to really make the most of it. Unfortunately, for us, hopefully Kyle Shanahan thinks that through. CMC, we have been waiting desperately for him to come, but we have to be smart that he's not going to be the savior of the team. We're still going to have to play team ball until he gets up to speed, and every game is going to count. I do like us to win this game. It will be a tightly contested game, but I do think there's opportunities, right? The weather won't be an issue. Actually, it's supposed to rain more in the Bay Area tomorrow than it is in Lambeau. So I think defense travels. I think a run game travels. I think we have a great running back tandem if it's used properly, right? CMC doesn't have to have 25 touches a game. He does. He is just coming back, right? From this tendonitis, Achilles, whatever, tendinosis, whatever they said he has. You need to still use Mason and use CMC to be effective. And what we need to do, the goal would be, is to have long extended drives. Pound the ball, let Love sit on the sideline and watch, and have these long 10, 12, 15 play drives, and we cannot settle for field goals. We can't put it in Moody's hands or on his leg. We need to punch it in the end zone. What do you say?
I agree with you, and I agree with Papa J as well. He said it's a Kyle problem, in regards to not using Mason, and it just makes no sense. It's baffling, actually. And again, it's kind of Kyle Shanahan-ish, right? I mean, the guy always feels, he can sort of outthink everybody, and I think sometimes he overthinks a situation instead of just going with the basics. And I think that's what made Belichick always a good coach, because Belichick, he focused on the matchups. Where do you have an advantage? And that's what he would do. And I think with this situation, Kyle not running Mason, you were saying this, I'm going to give credit to you because you were saying this last week. And I even think the week before, or even
before he came back, before McCaffrey came back, I said
you were saying it. You were saying it. I give you that, because you were pointing out the fact that keep Mason running, you keep CMC fresh, use him almost like in certain conditional situations, and then let him kind of ease his way back, because what CMC can do, right? CMC can stop playing football for 5 years and come back and still do work, right? Because he's just that good of a football player. But I think this game though, I don't know. Your quarterback scares me. If Brock was playing, I definitely would take the Niners to win this game. This kid here, or not even a kid, he's 32 years old. So this Brandon Allen, he's 2-7 as a starter. His last start came in Cincinnati in 2021. When they played the Bengals back then. So he's been on your roster, I guess, for a little minute here.
2023, he was on our roster.
Oh, he came in 2023. Okay, so his last start came with Cincinnati in the 2021 regular season finale when the Bengals rested Joe Burrow to get ready for the playoffs. And then, he threw 3 passes in the last 3 seasons, including none since joining the Niners in 2023. And to your point, he was with the Rams, and his quarterback coach when he was with the Rams, along with McVay, was Matt LaFleur. That was his. He was the OC for the Rams back then. So Shanahan and boys again. Shanahan and Sons,
and then Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor again. Another one.
So he was behind Joe Burrow. So we have to. There's something that Kyle sees that we don't see, because I would automatically think that it would be Josh Dobbs, because I've seen what he's done when he was with Minnesota. Like I would think in a pinch, because it doesn't seem, based on the MRI that they gave Brock Purdy, that this wasn't going to be a long-term injury. Actually, they seemed surprised that Brock Purdy was hurt and was, in practice, his arm was tightening up, and then he had to go get more treatment. So it was kind of a surprise based on what they saw in the MRI. So it didn't seem like it was a long-term injury. Now, I'm thinking that maybe Kyle is going for someone that's going to be more scripted, more dialed in, and less, improvisational. Well, I've said that wrong. Improvisational. Right.
Okay.
You're going to use less of that. And Josh Dobbs will use that, right? He's more of he's a gunslinger. He'll roll out of the pocket and do some stuff. And maybe Kyle is going, hey, because this game is on the line, I need you to line on line, precept on precept, stay with whatever play I give you. And maybe that's what Brandon Allen will do, because it's a head scratcher to me that why would you not go with Dobbs? We've seen him more recent, right? And you signed him, right? So there was obviously something that you saw in him. And I know after Brock Purdy's injury, we want to hold, 3 quarterbacks, because we don't want this ever to happen again when we get to a playoff game and we lose a quarterback, and then, we're lining up CMC to take snaps. Like we don't want that, right? So I get it, but we'll see. Time will tell. I am just guessing as to the reason that Kyle Shanahan is going with Brandon Allen, given the fact that he hasn't played in said years, but maybe he's familiar with that type of offense. What do you think?
Well, I think I agree with you there. Kyle sees something we don't see. We got to trust Kyle, right? I mean, he still gets the benefit of the doubt. He's got cachet to where we can trust what he sees in a player that will work and be effective in his scheme. My thing is this: if you keep this game simple. Now, remember, Jai Alexander's not playing either for the Packers, so you have some opportunities there. My thing is this: you run the ball. They being the Packers, 180 yards last week, 179 to be exact, against the Bears. They're 14th in defense. They're middle of the pack defense. They're not a great defense, but they're still a solid defense. But you have opportunity to run the ball. The Niners are the type of team you could run the ball, and you can still, even though they know the run is coming, doesn't mean you can stop the run. You got 2 really good backs, and I'm telling you now, you got to see a lot of Mason, more than what you've seen in the last 3 weeks since CMC has returned. You run the ball with him, you could win this game. Honestly, I think you win this game if you run the ball. Hearing you talk now, I'm kind of leaning a little bit. This game is all predicated on what Shanahan does and does not do. So this game is going to be won from the sideline, not the players. So if he runs, y'all win. If he wants to get cute with it, then you're going to lose. And not having Bosa there is because Bosa's a very good run stopper too. I know he gets a lot of credit for his ability to rush the quarterback, but he's also very good. He reminds me a lot like D-Law against the run. He's a very good DN.
I hope he doesn't remind you of D-Law.
Listen, I'm not saying D-Law is Bosa, but D-Law, who is a multiple Pro Bowler, is a very good defensive end against the run. Not a lot of DNs play well on the run, and it's a special skill. I'm just trying to say, okay? I'm saying he's not D-Law, but Joey Bosa is Joey Bosa. He's still good. I don't have a problem with him. I think he's one of the better DNs in the league. No question about it. But you don't have him. So you got to make sure, though, D, that Shanahan doesn't do
Nick Bosa.
I said Joey. Nick. Yes, thank you. That Shanahan doesn't go beyond his mind. If he becomes pinky in the brain and wants to take over the world, then he's going to have a problem. So yeah.
Well, I'm also hoping that Jordan Love will do. He likes to sometimes throw a pass with both his feet off the ground. If he gets into that, we'll get an opportunity, right? And Kyle Shanahan overall owns anyone that came from that tree. Now,
all the Suns.
He owns the Suns overall. Yeah. So Matt LaFleur is in that. Now, he what's his name beat him in the NFC Championship game a few years ago on their way to win the Super Bowl, but he even owns McVay, right? And I think McVay is a really good offensive
Oh
mind.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
I think if Love gets into the point now, they have a great receiving core. Listen, their receiving core over the next couple of years will be, with Reed, Jalen Reed, Dobbs.
Yeah.
They have
Watson.
who else? Watson. Well,
Yeah.
he's good for one play, and then his hamstring, he's sitting somewhere. But
right. I agree.
And of course, so I think they have Tucker Kraft. He's been playing really well, good tight end. But what's going to help us, I think Kittle playing is going to be instrumental, right? And I think we're going to really, for us to win, I think we're going to have to impose our will early, right? And get Love into the point where he wants to take a few more risks because maybe they're behind. If we can get a lead on them and then we lean on the run to get a lead. And I think we need to lean on the run once we get the lead. Our problem this year is we give the games up in the fourth quarter. It's not an issue of scoring. We have blown at least 3 games in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
To include Seattle, right? So it is thinking about it, even with all the adversity, the injuries, CMC not coming back till week 10, all of that stuff, we were in the thick of it. We're still in the thick for the division, NFC West. But I'm just thinking, like, what would have happened if we had when we had those teams pretty much locked up, why didn't we just lean on the run? Why were we still passing? Why were we still giving a team an opportunity to get back in the game with a 3 and out? And so this is a Kyle Shanahan. This is going to be, and I agree with you on that. If we go to our strengths, which is running the ball, I think we have a great opportunity to win this game and be successful.
But you got to stop the run too, though, D. Jacobs is a beast. You got to stop the run too. So you got to run the ball and you got to be able to stop it. That's why Nick is a factor too against the run. But you got guys that I think you got some of your defenders back, right? Mustafa and all those guys.
And Woodcourt's not back. Greenlaw is not back yet.
Right?
He's not back. I don't know. They haven't even opened his window. And I think probably
they might just keep him out until the next year.
Well, yeah, I would think they're going to open his window based on maybe this week and next week's game. So we have some tough games ahead of us, right? And so why do you open that window? Why bother if it's a failed season, right? If you're not going to make the postseason, I see opening it up and revving up his reps to an end, right? To get to the playoffs and then to push through. But we do have Buffalo, right? We still got to play Buffalo. We have Miami. We have Chicago. And to Papa Jay's point, I think Chicago and Miami will beat up on those. Shout out to Corey, who has been texting me and hitting me up on X about, different stuff that is taking place with my team. And that's all good. I do think that we got to just look at it one game at a time, right? Just get through them. Because because it's tight, we do need some help from our NFC comrades, right? We need Arizona to take an L, right?
Wow. That's when you know it's gotten bad there, Niner fans.
No.
When have you seen the Niners needing help?
Listen.
Hasn't been that way in a couple of years.
It hasn't. It hasn't. It hasn't been that way. Yeah. We have definitively not only won the division, but defended it, right? But reality is reality, right? Do I see Arizona just running away with it? They've been playing well, and up until this point, usually Kyler Murray is on the scrap heap by week 9, week 10 already. He has surpassed what he normally does. Normally he's injured. Normally he's out with some type of ailment by now, but he's doing well. So listen, they can still, I think, because there's some divisional games left, that gives us we don't control our own destiny, put it like that. And we've not been there in quite some time. Usually we control our own destiny. We do in a sense where we still have to continue to win, and our margin to lose games is very low. But with that being said, there are divisional games that will impact that. And I think it'll still give us a chance to perhaps, potentially, still win the division. I don't like our chances to win a wild card only because the NFC North is what it is.
Yeah,
it's so competitive. You're going to have at least 2 teams out of that, maybe even 3. So you're going to have the division winner and maybe 2 wild card teams come from that. So we're going to have to win our division, and I think that is still doable, and it starts with tomorrow.
It does. Y'all have the tougher schedule of the teams. I mean,
of course.
The Cardinals have the weaker schedule. Seattle has a tough schedule still, I think, coming up. Y'all have got the toughest of the 3 teams, but you definitely can't lose this D because you're going to take an L in Buffalo next week. That's definitely going to.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that.
Mean, I'm just saying, you gotta expect, like, you know.
Did we think that the
scrap on us and say you're gonna?
Did we think that Chicago? Not Chicago. Did we think that Cleveland was going to beat the Steelers? I actually did, but did the majority of people think that?
Well, you know what? No, they did not. But you probably look into it a little deeper, right? Because you know Tomlin's record on AFC North teams on Thursday, you know, play well after beating the Ravens, and so you know there's some statistics that support what your expectation was. So I'm just saying, it's going to be tough. D, y'all got to win that division, and y'all got a tough schedule, and the Cardinals. But what you could bank on is the Cardinals will be the Cardinals, and they're going to lose some stupid games. Right. They're going to be who they are, and that's the only thing you can. So I think it'll come down between you and Seattle when it's all said and done. But you guys got to win some games, man. Y'all got to. So you got to win Sunday. You got to win Sunday.
Yeah,
run
even
the ball, bro, and stop the run. That's it. Those 2 things. Yeah.
All right. So let's get a score from you.
Oh, all right. So look, if can we just do a caveat on this one? Can I get 2 scores? Based on the conditions of what we do, right? Of what we just talked about in context to our discussion and our preview here.
Sure. If Shanahan, if you need that, that's fine. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that because this is critical, right? If Shanahan runs the ball, right, and sticks to they're the Cowboys, we're out of the playoffs officially. When the hat fell, that was it. So
right.
It's all over now. So if Shanahan does what we just said, right, Don, then I think y'all will win the game. I do. And then if he does that, I say it's going to be a score of 23. It'll be 23-17.
Okay.
23-17. If Shanahan runs the ball and y'all can at least contain Jacobs and force a couple of bad throws from Lewis. Love, excuse me. If he does Shanahan things. If he wants to be Pinky in the brain, I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to devise a new app right while I'm here on the sideline on how to run. I'm going to be able to control my running backs through my phone. And I'm going to be able to show how we can, just do something crazy, right? If he doesn't run Mason, if he does not utilize these guys right, it could be a long afternoon for you guys, okay? And I do think Green Bay will prevail. And
Papa J got sourdough Sam, and he's still saying 30-17.
But he's a Niner fan, no?
He is. That's what I'm saying. Look at his icon. Look at his which guy.
Yeah, see, yeah. So I'm looking like, okay, I see. Okay, all right. I thought it looked like a little Buccaneerish there, though. Okay, but I see.
No, it's sourdough Sam.
Sweet was Ken was at that Buccaneer game. I meant to tell you that too. He went.
Was he?
Yeah, he was at that game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
was the second score?
The second score would be 31. It'll be 31-20. Green Bay. Man. If Shanahan outthinks himself.
Okay.
So there you got it. 23-17 Shanahan, 31-20 the outsmart version of Shanahan.
Okay, I think there's only one way to win this game. And the one way is to run the ball. Run to pass, right?
Yeah.
Run to pass. If they run to pass, I think because you're still going to have to you're still going to have to pass the ball, right? And I think there will be opportunities to pass the ball. But I think you're going to have to run to pass. And so if they do that, I do like the Niners. I think CMC is going to have a phenomenal game. And I actually do think that, of course, I think they need to get Mason more involved. But I think Kittle, his him coming back, which he has vowed to play, I think that's going to play a part, even if it's taking attention away from Jennings and just opening up everything, right? I don't know if Kyle Shanahan is going to open the entire offense up to Brandon Allen.
I don't know.
I don't think he would. I think he wants Brandon because he wants it to be this is what I need you to do. Do exactly what I tell you. These plays, if you do them correctly, the skill players will get open. You just have to get the ball to said location. Now, this is something for another show, but we need to discuss if Brandon Allen balls out, what that does to potentially Purdy's value. That's a question that we need to discuss, but then we don't have to discuss that now. Let me give you what I think the score is going to be. I think the Niners are going to put up some points. I do think so. I think it's going to be a tight game starting off, but I also think at a certain point, Love is going to give us some opportunities for short fields, and I think we're going to utilize and take full advantage of that. So I like the Niners to get right with a 31-17 game, 31-17. I'm going to go the opposite of Papa J, and I know he's a Niner fan, and we appreciate it. But I do think only because Love is going to make some mistakes, he's going to throw at least one pick. I think because he is naturally a confident player. He likes to throw off of 1 foot, sometimes no feet, on his knees, if it's sideways, whatever. He takes more challenges, right? And LaFleur, because he has the talent, he has the players, he's gonna kind of, he doesn't reel him in as much. I think Allen is gonna be reeled in. And sometimes when you have a script and you know what you need to do, get to this person, get to that person, hand the ball off between the running backs. I think if we don't hit between the running backs 30 touches, I think it puts us in a bad position. I think the running back position needs to account for 30 targets, touches, targets/touches, right? Between Mason, get Garendo in. He runs a 4-3, 4-2. Get him in. Utilize everything needs to be on the line. The playbook needs to be open to the degree of getting the skilled players in the position to be successful. And I do like our chances, and I'm going to go with 31-17 Niners.
I got a question for you though.
Sure.
If we don't know how the rest of the season will turn out, but if you feel at this season, let's just say you guys don't get into the playoffs, maybe some bad coaching decisions or schemes or whatever from Shanahan. What is the clock running down for Shanahan for you, sir? Do you think you're going to need a change at some point, or do you think they would ever move off from Shanahan?
Listen, there has been an outcry. Most recently,
yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. What's the temperature in San Francisco? I mean, you're literally there.
Most recently, I think the temperature has been, because this year the way we have lost games, that it's like, okay, it might be an opportunity to move on. But then when you say that, who do you find? Who do you move on to, right? Because the problem is success is a gift and a curse, right? When you're successful and you have gotten to the levels that you have gotten to, it's tough to then say, hey, let's start over and rebuild from a philosophy standpoint, right? And so I think it's tough. Niner fans, if we're honest, we're conflicted. We know the success, we know the brilliance of him, but then we also understand the head scratching part. Like, why would you try to overthink it? Just run the ball. Just punch it in. When you get to a certain point, maybe make it 4-down territory, punch it in 3 or 4 times, and make the most of it, right? You live with that. And then if you don't get it and you're on the 5-yard line, right, and you don't get in, then the defense has to drive the ball back the entire – like, sometimes you just have to be smart in how clock management – how you're able to, pretty much put pressure on the other defense with your offense. And so I say all that to say, I I think it depends on how the season feels, but I think the ownership loves Kyle Shanahan, you know, and so I would see it very. It would have to be an uprising almost for them to get rid of it. They signed an extension. I think they care for them a lot, and they've been successful. Whether
they have.
We have no confetti to speak of, but from a relevancy standpoint, getting to NFC championship games, getting to Super Bowls, we have been highly successful. And so I don't know how an ownership with good conscience would part from that. So to answer your question, I don't think they're going to part with him, regardless of how this season turns out.
He's like Andy Reid right now. He reminds me of Andy Reid, the way his career is going, right? Reid couldn't break through with the Eagles, struggled there. And I mean, obviously Reid went on and then turned all his fortunes around when he got with Kansas City and Mahomes and things, you know. But I don't know. Shanahan could break through, though, at some point, you know. I tell you what, I'll say to them, we move real quick. I'm just going to say, I think the problem, though, the Niners, and again, I'm very objective, as y'all know, you know, and I mean, I hate the Niners, always have, always will. 81, Dwight Clark, since then, no love at all, right? But the thing is, though, this season, I think you have an out, okay, that a realistic out, and that would really be that you have, you know, the injuries. The injuries really plagued you guys. You know what I mean? No Greenlaw, CMC coming back late. You know, now Purdy's out this game. This is a bad time for Purdy to be out. If Purdy was playing, I'd definitely taken San Francisco hands down. But no Purdy, that's tough, man. That's a tough. This is a rough time. After coming off that loss last week, and then you got the Bills next week. Whoo, boy, D. It's gonna be something else. But injuries, you know, you've been saying it since we started this show a couple of years back. It's the great equalizer. So
it is. Unfortunately, we're on the bad end of it, or the short end of it, which is, you know, unfortunate. And I agree, Papa J. He needs to utilize all of those players that I know he wants to funnel certain players and showcase them, but if it was not for injuries, would we really understand and appreciate how good Jennings is playing, right? Yeah, he gets some shine, but injuries really showcased. We knew that he was a really good possession receiver, but he is shown to be exceptional. He's actually playing really, really well, and I'm glad we have him under contract, but he's playing really, really well. And I think that they draft well. I think they just have to, and not to use Philadelphia terms, they have to trust the process, right? Mason has already showed you. I mean, look at what Kyle Shanahan did with a 6th round pick a couple of years ago with Elijah Mitchell. So with run schemes, you have to be able, understanding that CMC is not the CMC of last year, right? He's coming off of an injury. He is just coming back 2 weeks back. We can't give him realistically that type of workload and expect him to say, hey, just do it. Let's go. Pick up where you left off. And I think he started off with 19 touches in his first game back. I think that was too much. Yeah. But whatever the case may be, you know, I don't want him to feel pressured, CMC, to feel pressured that, hey, if I don't do it, it's up to Kyle Shanahan to say, let me distribute and work to distribute equally the load or the responsibility to get this offense to the next level, and not solely put it on CMC's shoulders. Because he's good enough to play, but I don't know if he's at 100%, and he's not he can't be just coming back 2 weeks in. Like, he can't be back to the CMC that we know from last year that was just completely phenomenal.
Yeah, he dominated, no doubt.
But okay, let's talk about the Eagles and the Rams. Eagles.
Scrap, you out there, Scrap? You out there anywhere, Scrap?
Yeah, he's hiding. He's hiding somewhere. He doesn't want to talk about but every time he misses it, that means we get to run the Eagles into the ground with no defense. No, I will say this. I'm be honest. Eagles, they look good. They look good. And I don't care what anybody says. Saquon Barkley, if it was not for Saquon Barkley, and the Giants need to the Eagles need to give and thank the Giants. Thank a union member. They need to thank a union member for giving up Saquon Barkley and giving up on him. And when they did that, for him to go into the division and ball out like he has, I mean, he not only showed that he wasn't dead, right? That his career was very much alive. He has been the difference maker. In a lot of games, Saquon Barkley has single-handedly won the game for them. I do think this is going to be an interesting game because Stafford plays really well when he has his full arsenal, right? You got Cooper Kupp, you got Puka Nacua, you have Kyron Williams, you got, so he has his receivers, he has his star running back. I think it's going to be a good game starting off.
No Devontae.
Yeah, no Devontae.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think this.
I mean, for the Eagles, I know you were talking about
for the Eagles. But I do say this. I think the Eagles have enough weapons that, of course, Devontae Smith, you're missing him. But I do think that they have enough. With their run game, Jalen Hurts is mobile, right? He looks to be healthy. He's extending plays. And if you pay too much attention to the receiving core or to the running back, he can always take the ball and roll. So I think there's an opportunity for them to be successful. I think the game will be close starting off. And I think later in the game, as they try to, because listen, from a defensive standpoint, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, they're going to lock down one of them, if not both of them. So it's going to depend on the running back. It's going to depend on the mobility of Stafford. And we know he's not mobile. At this point, before he takes a hit, he'll just go down like a ton of bricks. He won't take the hit. Fact. So I think that gives the Eagles the advantage. So I do like the Eagles, to win this game. But what do you think?
I got the Eagles too. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the Rams, even with Puka and Kupp and those guys, you're right. Their secondary's just been playing great. Those rookies have been phenomenal. I think they'll definitely take these guys out the game. Stafford is very statuesque back there, as you just stated. The Eagles, again, you give the ball to Saquon, good things are going to always happen. And the Eagles, let me look at the Rams defense overall. They're 18th against the rush. Right? Kind of middle of the pack. They're not necessarily they're not Dallas, but they are definitely, not a top tier defensive stop team. So, I got the Eagles winning this game. Again, Saquon is clearly the difference maker. But you know what's interesting? I saw on ESPN earlier that they're in the same place statistically, though, that this year that they were last year without Saquon. Yeah, isn't that interesting? ESPN was reporting that, I think, and yesterday, I think it was on First Take or Get Up, one or two, and they were showing that even with this team, even with Saquon, offensively, this team is still where it was at this time last year. So what's turned this team around has clearly been the defense. Their defense has improved dramatically from this time last year. So,
and I also think maybe Jalen Hurts being injured.
Yeah, Hurts injury last year.
Having both of them, Jalen Hurts being injured and now not being able. I get what you're saying. The defense has made the difference ultimately.
Yeah.
But,
Especially secondary. Yeah, the secondary in particular.
Secondary is good. Secondary is really good.
Yeah, it is. Yes, kudos to Scrap. We can't take that from him. I'm sure if he was here, he'd be thinking about how you going to wear.
He'd have some type of outfit on,
or it's going to be interesting with the next show when he comes in with.
He'd have ram horns or something. He'd have some horns on or something,
blowing through the horn and everything.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, he's going to do all of that for sure. So,
but
I like them. I like them to win. I like them to win this game.
What's your score?
My score will be I like the Eagles winning this game. I mean, they're in LA, but still 26. I think they'll win 26. It'll be 26-14 14. The game is going to be, it's going to be close though. Yeah, it's going to be close, but then they'll break away. What's going to happen is what we've seen in recent weeks. Struggle a little bit. Game is kind of close. Then Saquon runs for 54 yards. And then boom, right? Breaks the game open. Then that'll be it. And then, the game will be a little close there. And then that to get to 26 will be that clinching score, right? It'll be 20-14 or 19-14, somewhere in there. And then they score again and break the game open with only a few minutes left in the fourth. And then that'll pretty much end it for the Rams, because they will struggle, I think, to kind of move the ball. Kyren Williams is not, to me, he's all right. He's not great. He's good. I mean, he's okay. I don't know if he's going to move the needle for them, though. I don't know.
Wait. Kyren Williams, the last 3 games, he's been but he had 8 games in a row with a touchdown. What are we talking about, man? Like,
we call it the touchdowns.
Well, you need it's football. How do you score?
All right, so let me ask you something. If a guy scores a touchdown but only gets 30 yards rushing for a whole game, did he impact the game?
That's not Kyren Williams' numbers though. Look
at
his numbers.
That's not. But what I'm saying is that. But what I'm saying is he hasn't really done a whole lot. Like I'm saying, he's not.
I think he's top. He has to be top 5.
Let me see. Let's look here. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second here. All right. I'm gonna just pull up his. I was looking at his stats. Before the game,
and also pull up top 5, top 10 running backs.
And running backs, yeah.
Where he falls.
Running backs. Okay, so let's see. Complete leaders, receiving, rushing, complete leaders. So Kyren Williams is number 9. He's got 191 attempts, 750 yards rushing so far, which is good. He's averaging 3.9. We'll round him to 4. He's not bad. He's got 8 touchdowns. He's averaging 75 yards a game. Okay, so they can run the ball. He's good. He's effective there. I'm not saying he's trash. I mean, he's not a Rico Dowell or Zeke Elliott right now.
Okay, I was like, what are we talking about? You would take a Kyren Wood. You better thank a Kyren. You would take a Kyren Williams, would you? You would take a Kyren Williams. You better take you would take a Kyren Williams.
I would take him. I'm not saying
the Cowboys would take him for sure.
Oh, the Cowboys would definitely take him. No,
you guys are averaging
now,
like.
The thing is, what it looks like here, and I haven't watched the Ram games, right? He actually has ran the ball well the last 3 games. Now he ran for 5.7 yards. He had 15 carries for 86 against New England, right? The week before that, he had 15 carries for 62 yards, 4.1. Okay. And that was in a loss to Miami. And then they played, and in Seattle the week before that, he had an overtime loss there, 22 carries for 69 yards. So he kind of struggled in that game a little bit. Yeah. But it seems like the last
no touchdowns, right? The last 3 games. The last 3 games,
no touchdowns.
No touchdowns.
Last touchdown he scored was against the Raiders.
But also, you got to factor in all-purpose yards. He's a good receiving back. His receiving numbers should be, he has to be over 1,000 yards, not with both all-purpose yards. He might be 1,200, 1,300 yards.
Oh, yeah. He's got 750 rushing, and he got 136 on receiving so far.
That's it? Only 136?
Only 136 yards. Yep. The last few, he had no receptions, no targets the last game. Against Miami, he had 20 receiving yards, 46 receiving yards against Seattle, 19. The most yards he's had all season is 2 back-to-back 27 yards. He had one against y'all, San Fran, when they beat y'all. He had 27 receiving yards in that game, and he had 27 receiving yards against Arizona. I'm just pointing something.
No, that's fine. Hey, it is whatever the statistics tell you.
That's it.
Please feel free.
I'm just reading the word. It's the word.
Be my guest. It's the word.
Right,
Go ahead. Be my guest.
Right.
Yeah.
30-20 Eagles, huh? Okay, Papa J.
Okay, and so what did you give a score already?
Yeah, I said 26-14.
26-14. Okay, so I think the game is going to be closer, and I think there's going to be more points scored than 26-14. I do respect the Rams because they have their full arsenal, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to have both of their receivers. You're going to have to account for it. You're going to have Kyren Williams out of the backfield. He's a good running back, 3-down back, and he's a good, catching back. I think there's going to be more points than that. So I think Eagles 35, Rams 28, 35-28. I think there's going to be some points scored for sure. Yeah, for sure. They're in LA.
Right.
You read that word.
What's that? What did he say?
Read that word too happily.
You read that word too happily, though.
Yeah. So I do think it's going to be a pretty good game. Scrap will be happy next week when we, do our review of week 12.
Yeah.
This is a must win for us. You
all
guys make
week,
it look respectable.
Ooh, what time is you got a 4:00 game, right? Yeah.
What? It takes all that?
I'm just saying it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be.
No, it don't take all.
Be good.
It don't take all that. Some of them say it don't take all that.
Ooh, and all that. Right.
No, it don't need all that.
Right.
I think right. I think we're gonna
right.
handle business. I like our chances. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully Kyle watches and takes heed to what the suggestions that were given.
I hope so.
And it is what it is. Listen, this show has gone long. We'll I know we said that we'll discuss NBA, but I think we'll table it for next week.
And guys, we promise to really delve in. D, if you agree with me on this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Agree, once the really truly, right? And because we know we got the WAC tournament coming up in the NBA, right? But after the All-Star game,
we take a deep dive. We really take a deep dive into the NBA.
We're gonna go deep dive because the NFL season have been winding down by that point in time. Super Bowl, of course, we'll still give the NFL some love there, of course, but we're gonna really go in for the NBA lovers out there.
We'll take a deep dive right now.
It's still kind of early.
It's rabbit season. We still talking season. Football. It's rabbit season. Exactly. When we get to duck season, we will talk NBA and all that good stuff. But shout outs to everyone that joined the show, man. Papa J, thank you for your questions, your input. Who else was
Pastor
on?
Robert was in the building.
All right. And Rand, thank you for hopping in. Yeah. And James, thank you. Our affiliate across the pond. We appreciate you joining us. Shout outs to everybody. Listen, once again, please like, share, subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube page. We appreciate all of the comments, everyone's interaction. Rod's about to go to sleep.
I know.
And so, he appreciates it's he's across the pond too. It's a 27-hour difference. He's sleep. Right in Atlanta and California.
It's a 27-day difference. I'm already in December, guys. I'm like,
right. He's already right. He's a time traveler.
Right.
But once again, we appreciate it. Until next time, everybody. Peace.